Mr. Juszkiewicz from Gibson Guitar.
So I'll start with, you know, the history of my involvement with the Justice Department. 2 years ago, I was at a meeting with our executives, and I got a call that Homeland Security was raiding our factory. At first, I thought it was a joke because we make guitars, and I'm not aware of any threatening issues with the guitar business. But it was no joke. 30 armed agents in SWAT attire, you know, bulletproof vests and automatic weapons and the whole deal, had descended on our factory, and they had evacuated the 200 or 300 people in our factory. They were seizing raw materials from the factory. And when I asked why, they said they couldn't tell me that that was sealed. And so they were closing down our business and not even telling us what they were looking for or why we were being injured. And in fact, they wouldn't tell us for months. 6 months or so later, we filed a federal lawsuit to recover the $500,000 worth of wood product that they seized. And that case is still in federal court. In that case, we, cooperated with the government, and we supplied over 80,000 pages of material for the government to look at. This is a case about buying wood, a single purchase of wood that was fully documented. Yet they wanted to see every single invoice for every single guitar that we have sold in the last 10 years. Well, that's expensive, and it was supplied, but apparently that was not enough. 3 weeks ago, they came back, another SWAT team. This time, they raided 3 of our factories and our corporate office. They seized another $500,000 of raw material, evacuated all the employees, and sent a letter saying that if we touch any of the guitars in our factories, they would consider each guitar we touch an individual criminal offense. Wow, pretty tough to take. That's what we're facing. We've had millions of dollars of damage to our business. We've had our employees scared and worried about the future of the company and their livelihood. And yet, we haven't had any charges filed against us. There are no deadlines in which they have to file charges, and we have no recourse to the actions that they have taken against us. The federal lawsuits that we filed, the government filed a motion to stay the proceedings and successfully, meaning that the judge is not going to rule on the case, and the case cannot move forward. So that's the issue I'm facing. I'm just really would never have believed it could take place in this country.
Thank you. I was intrigued by one of the things I heard, and I wondered if you'd elaborate on it. I understand that they had some kind of written communication with you that said that you would have no legal problems and they'd leave you alone if the wood was processed in India. In other words, if you outsourced these jobs that are American jobs to India, they'd leave you alone.
The issue that we're talking about is the Lacey Act, and as you said, the Lacey Act requires that you comply with the law in the country from which you bought materials. And so the government is saying that the materials were not legal to be exported from the countries, in this case, Madagascar and India. So they are trying to enforce those laws. We have affidavits from government officials in Madagascar that say that it's perfectly legal to do what we did. It went through their customs, all the paperwork was in order, it went through our customs, and it was imported into our country successfully. The government's contention is, well, the government of Madagascar could say that, but we don't recognize the government of Madagascar, so it doesn't matter. So they're actually interpreting the law of the government of Madagascar and contrary to what the government of Madagascar's own interpretation is. That is similar to the Indian wood that they seized just several weeks ago. We have letters from the government of India that said that the wood was exported legally. In fact, we had been buying the same wood for 17 years consistently, and so there was a long chain of business. But all of a sudden, that wood is not being declared properly, according to the U.S. government, that we should be using a different tariff code than the one that we have been using for 17 years, and which the government of India says is the appropriate tariff code to use.
So on the one hand, they're going to ignore what India and Madagascar says in your defense, but they are going to use their laws against you if they can.
That is exactly right.
We, in my office, are proposing a legislative solution. Legislative solutions, unfortunately, are usually prospective and may or may not help you, but we don't think that it's a good idea that people should be prosecuted criminally in our country for foreign laws, and I actually don't think you should be prosecuted civilly for foreign laws. It should be an American law if we're going to have any kind of jurisdiction over this. So we're going to have an amendment to the Lacey Act to remove any provisions that refer to foreign laws. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.